Hello, Wicked Edge Expert Corner Group YouTube channel and Facebook group. This is Mark, and we're using a WE50 to sharpen a Zwilling prep knife. This knife, I don't recall, but I think it's about a 57 or 58 on the Rockwell C hardness scale, so it's not a real hard steel, so it's pretty easy to sharpen, and we're going to take it narrow. We're going to re-profile this knife to 14 degrees just to sharpen it, just to do it. And we're working with the scope, and we talked a little bit about the scope. We have the computer set up so that we can look at what we're doing here, and I can see I just got done doing a little up and down scrubbing on the first side with 400 grit, making full contact, staying right in line with the guide rod. We're going up to the stone stop, down to the stone stop, not necessarily to bang it, but bouncing off of it gives you that feel, that muscle memory, and it lets you use all of the stone. So it makes for a very long, straight stroke if you walk it back and forth as I'm doing, making full flat contact the whole time. Okay, I'm going to take my microfiber towel and wipe up. I wipe in the up direction because I've wiped longitudinally, and I've cut my finger through the towel on some knives that I was sharpening that I had gotten pretty sharp. So here is the bevel. You can see the shoulder, the pointer is on the shoulder down here, and you can see the ragged top, which is what we would expect because we're dragging 400 diamonds off and back on, off and back on. So we have a developed, it looks like that from the scratches. Now on the back side, because we only scrubbed the one side, now we're able to look at the back side and we can see clearly the bald burr. Clearly you can see it looks like balls. You can see the shadow underneath it. Let me see if I can make this. No, that's as big as it gets, but you can see that they almost look like balls. And if you lay your finger against it and just raise up, you can feel it with your fingertip, if it's pronounced. And with 400 grit, which is a moderately coarse stone, certainly not a 50-80 or 100, not that coarse, but it's a moderately coarse stone, I can feel a developed burr across the whole edge. I can see it there, the little bit of the raggedness. Here is the heel, right at the very heel. You can see the pronounced burr. Now we're going to the other side. I don't care, start at the tip, doesn't matter. As long as what I do is similar in the effort, the time, the directions that I did with this side, which was a long, slow scrub. I hold it in the center. The reason I hold my stones in the center is because as I go up and down the stone, it keeps my pressure balanced. I am working with safety shields They simply just, and it's a physical barrier, and it also lets me push flat. It gives me that rotational stability. So I'm starting at the tip and I'm scrubbing. The tip is half on, half off the stone, and I'm feeling it, I'm listening, and I'm getting my stroke going. It takes concentration to keep full flat contact on your stone and to get your full stroke and keep in contact, keep your pressure. It takes a little bit of, it's certainly a conscious effort to do it like that. And you're rewarded. If you work with attention to detail, results will reflect that. Okay, now we're on the back side, and we can see how ragged it is. We took everything that we did on the first side. I can see here that I didn't get my scrubbing stroke complete. You can see that there's a scratch pattern here and a scratch pattern here that aren't lined up. So here you can see it is lined up. So I was more thorough. Here it's very nice, and right up to the top, the edge is like this because the diamonds are coming off of it in between. Some are troughs, some are high points, some are troughs, as the diamonds dig into the steel. So what you're seeing is exactly what you should expect to see. Right out to the tip. Looks good right out to the tip. And this is close. The tip is pretty close. I can see at the very end, this is still the remnants of the damage that we're starting with. I'm not going to do anything to remove that steel if it doesn't work out as I'm sharpening. Then I'll look at the end to do something. But right now it doesn't look too bad. Okay, that was the second side scrubbing. And we would expect the burr to have flopped. And there is the burr at the purple arrow. Let me see if I can get it. There's a good shot of the burr. You can see with this gap here how the burr has some height to it. Here you can see the gap there. Let me see if I can make this better focused. The ball of the burr. I'm just trying to let y'all know that it is an actual physical thing that is easy to feel it. And that burr that we feel is telling us that our stones came up off of the apex. And that's the whole purpose, to know that we're working that bevel. Now in my inspection, I saw across the shoulder that my scratches in some place weren't as, here it looks pretty good. Here it's a little bit, I got one direction and the other direction. That's the type of stuff that I look at when I'm working on my chef knives, trying to make both a mirror edge and a working edge. I tried to get all that in line. The reason is, for me, if they're all in line, I would think that it would go through the food better than if it was more haphazard. I don't know. But I would think that it would slice and part food more smoothly if it was smooth itself. Okay, so we're got the burr, both sides, flip-flop back and forth. Then the next thing is to do it as much as I feel is necessary. So I'm going to go back here, spend a little bit more time to refine that scratch. And I'm going to show you one more thing. And I'm just sliding up and down, trying to utilize the same pressure. It's not, you can't, there's a little bit of a rock. The way I'm holding it, you don't hear it rocking as the stone goes across the knife edge. That's a good thing. If it's rocking, then that means that it's going like this in that little bit of tolerance that it has, which I'm talking only a couple thousandths. So by holding in the center, I'm sliding it so it's the same, and I'm putting pressure against the edge. And I'm doing the same thing I did previously. I'm just doing it more because when I looked at it, it wasn't as pretty as I wanted it to appear. And this is my first stone for this. It's an essence reprofiling, because I had started with this knife and I messed with a bunch of different stones on it. Okay, now we can see apex right down to the shoulder. Everything is matched up. The stroke is continuous and in line. That is what I try to do most of the time. Sometimes, honestly, when I'm doing a quick job, I don't look. Now you notice the verticalness. You notice the verticalness. Some people have recommended, here again, I took a little bit more time and now I'm happy with it. This is even looking a little better at the tip. Let me come back here and show you something that I caught a minute ago. Let me see if I can find it again. I got my back to you. I hope that you can hear me. I can't find it. Okay, we're going to call this side done. There we go. This little scratch here, these scratches, those are the scratches when we hit the 3000 grit, and then we do the stropping, and the edge gets real black, but we see hairline scratches. That's what those scratches are. Those we put down, those I put down with the most coarse grit I was working with at the time. And those are buried. And as we use finer and finer grits and we refine the surface, we're getting the surface flatter and flatter and flatter. We're getting down to the bottom of those deep, heavy scratches that we imparted to the surface first. And now we've flattened everything out that we're seeing just the bottom, and it's just a hairline scratch. So that's why I recommend that you work in line. Now, it's a sharpening technique that was recommended for years, that when I would go from 400 grit to 600 grit, that instead of working in the same slant, I would change direction. In other words, put a slant this way with the 400 and then put a slant this way. Work this way with the 600 and this way with the 400. Then the 600 scratch is crisscrossed. So it stands out. It stands out. If you're looking for a mirrored edge, scratches that stand out are not your friend. So I quit doing that crisscross. The crisscross is a great way to teach someone to recognize that they have worked long enough to obliterate the previous scratches. If the first scratch is coming this way, and the second scratch is going that way, when you look at the edge and everything looks like this, you know you've done it enough. If everything looks haphazard coming from both directions, then you haven't done this enough. This you want to do enough to obliterate the scratch from this. So it's a great learning method to go one direction first, and then with subsequent grits go the other direction, then the next one. And I did that for a long time, and it helped me to learn how to work the edge thoroughly. But it introduced a scratch pattern direction that wasn't helpful to me in my future sharpening when I got better at it, and I started looking at the finish at the beginning. Looking at the results of my finished job at the beginning. When I did that, I noticed that the change in the direction was not good for me. Now, if you're just working on utility knives, your everyday carry that you cut for boxes, working with one stroke in one direction and then going to the next stone and working in the other direction is a good way to learn how to sharpen your knife thoroughly and well. And I recommend that everybody try it to understand what I'm talking about. Now, when we get to the point that we're able to work with the scope and see what we're doing, I've moved on past the alternating side scratches because now I can see what I'm doing. I understand I have a lot more experience. I'm trying to keep my scratch pattern aligned because these thin white lines those possibly, I'm not saying that that exact one is going to bite you, but I'm saying that what you see now may affect you later. So while you're here working with the grit, do everything you want to do now. Don't say I'll take care of it later with the finer grit. You have to take care of what you have to take care of with the grit you're working on right now. Okay. We're going to now look at it real quick because I'm talking so much, I'm not seeing where I'm at. This is ready. We have a burr on here. This looks pretty good. I have all my scratches go pretty much straight to the shoulder. The shoulder is where the purple arrow is, and the shoulder runs straight across just like the knife edge. The shoulder is getting worked just like the apex when we scrub. We're scrubbing up to the apex, down to the shoulder. So I'm looking at the full height of the bevel, and the whole bevel looks to me that it's done right. We can see the burr up there. Next, I'm going to pick them both up, and I'm going to start with the 400 grit. Make sure, because I was talking and swapping things, both with the 400 grit, the same 14-degree angle. I'm going to start in the center and pull it straight down and come behind it. Everything is right behind it. Alternating side, edge leading, down and on, alternating side. This one I just did behind what I did here. This one's behind. I'm coming behind it, working forward, coming behind it, working forward. How I pull down and push forward at the same time determines the slant of the scratch. And I put a little bias to it this time because I want you to see. And we're just doing slowly, easy, very low impact. Very slow, very quiet, very methodical. And each time I'm putting the stone on there and I'm feeling the full flat contact of the stone through the finger guards. Okay, let's look at, now we're still on the same page for taking pictures. This here, those are scratches I put in the side of the knife. When I first took it out of the box, I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. We can see a little bit now of the bias that I'm introducing. So the scratches are looking more scattered because I put that bias in there. We can see the previous was more straight up and down. This has a bias in it. So you can understand if you were changing the direction, it would stand out. It would really be pronounced. And it will stay, those scratches will stay there and follow with you. If that's not a problem, if you're not looking to get that mirror polished, then those crisscross scratches don't really matter that much. I don't know. I would think that if everything was lined up, it would be a sharper knife. Now up here I didn't put so much bias on it, but you can see that there's no white balls across the top. There's places where there's a little minor, it's 400 grit still. Here I can see down at the bottom, the scratches are like haphazard. So I will spend a little bit more time here. The scratches right above the shoulder are not complete. And let's see if we can tell what the tip looks like. And we can still see that inclusion on the top of the tip, right where the arrow is pointing. And we're going to keep working on that. And I imagine that's going to catch up. We'll take care of that. So we're gaining on it. There's a little bit more. Okay, I am going to stay in line. I put that bias in there because I wanted to make the point of talking about the direction of the scratches. And I'm just full flat contact. I get a little double check, feel that I'm flat, and pull it down. I'm working my way forward. I'm watching right down the center. I can see everything. I can see the backside. The safety shields do not get in your way. It feels sharp. 400 grit. And we'll do a quick. And now that's looks very pretty. This is getting darker as compared to here. This is polishing out. I can see some of those remnants that I was talking about. That's why here's some that are glowing, the slanted remnant scratches. Anyway, I'm mixing advanced sharpening with polished and beginning sharpening, and I apologize for that. But everything is where I look to as the beginner. I suggest to you that if you get all your scratches looking pretty, you can see here that this is getting better on the tip. So this is done. 400 grit, alternating side, edge leading strokes. We can call that quit. So then we can go here to the settings. Whoops. Let's do this again. I highlighted the whole blue line, and at the end it says 400D. Because I made my folders, that hierarchy, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1500D, 2200, I'm ready to go. I just have to come out here to the very end that says 400D and change that to 600D. $600D, and then apply. I did something wrong. Because I did something wrong, it gave me an error, and I have to go back here and do it again. So the whole purpose that I set up that hierarchy is to save me having to do this, and I didn't enter the right code. So it bounced me out, so now I have to go back in. Willing, 321 I started it, and we're looking for the 600D apply. And when you apply it, it's ready. I put the wrong. When I went up to here and I came over and highlighted it, the extension, the very last thing, it said 400D. I needed to change it to 600D and hit apply, and I did not do that correctly. Now it is correct. It's ready to start capturing pictures at 600D, and then I'll take my stones, turn them around. I'm going to pull up my stone stop, get my cube. I'm just setting it there while it comes on. It says 0.01, so I double checked it. It is zeroed, and the 600 is reading 14.03.02, so that is close enough. Quick double check, and now we're ready to go. On that side it's 600. This one we're going to turn over real quick, rest the stone. Oop. And this one is now reading 13.9 degrees. So that is off by a tenth. I can move it closer, so I'm going to loosen it up. And went past it by the same amount. Okay, no. Nope. Okay. Now, so you know, I'm using slide adjusters. With a micro adjuster, you have a screw and you dial it in. With the slide adjusters, you have to unlock it and physically slide it. So it's hard to get that close. I'm at 1407 now. 1403 when I'm holding it flat. Okay. I spend too much time verifying it. It is not necessary. Let me say that again. This is not necessary to work that double checked. I do it because I can, because I want to. It is not necessary. Whether you're within 3 or 4 100ths, or you're within 7 or 8 100ths, it's like academic. It doesn't matter, because how we hold it and what we do introduces more error than that 3 or 4 hundredths that I'm spending all this time trying to adjust out. I just do it because the reading is the reading and I can. That's all. It just takes a little extra time. I feel better about it. Okay, 600 grit, starting at the beginning. Again, I have to make sure my stone stops are set right. Starting at the beginning, one-sided scrubbing. And yes, it will draw a burr. This time, with the 600 grit, it's not on my priority to intentionally produce that burr and show it to you. I have reprofiled, I have set this bevel edge at 14 degrees with the first stone, 400 grit. Now I am just doing everything again and again and again with finer grits. And I'll go through the same thing. Everything is fine, looks beautiful. I did a pretty good, thorough job. I spent a few extra strokes. It's polishing up nice. You can see how it's pretty black. When I say black, I mean in here you can see how black it is. The white stands out against the black. As compared to when we started, it was more like reflective. As it gets smoother, you get that second reflection that I think it's called virtual reflection, where you see below the surface of the mirror and you see the reflective material in the back. Here's working towards the tip. It looks good. You can see the white line across the top, which is the burr. The tip worked out beautifully without doing anything other than continuing to work. Here's up higher, and we're getting a little white line, and that's telling me that there's a burr on the backside. And if we come now to the right side or the back side, I can barely see it, but there is a you can see the line of the ball running across there, that line right at the black. So that little bit of scrubbing drew a burr. That is what I say in my videos, that you don't have to try to draw a burr with wicked edge. If you work within the precision that it allows you, even just flipping the stones, locking it up once, measure your cube once and just go stone to stone to stone. If everything stays tight and you work similarly, stone to stone to stone, you're going to draw a burr, because you're putting that stone flat on that bevel each and every time, and you're reworking it, refining it with the scratch pattern. So it's going to draw a burr. Whether you want it or not, it's going to draw a burr. If you want it, you work a little harder to make the burr prevalent. If you don't want it, then just quit when you get it to where it's enough. Don't work extra hard at it. Now we're going to come on the other side and same thing. Again, I'm scrubbing right in line with the guide rod, just because it's easy. And it works. The knife is clamped centrally on the length. And we're rotating back and forth from the center point where we set the angle. It did draw a burr, I can feel it. I didn't scrub that much as I'm talking, and I'm not pressing hard. And it's getting blacker and blacker as it polishes out. This knife is sharpening up very nicely. Very nice. Okay, so here's the second side is done. And now we can see that damage. There's just a little teeny line right here on the tip. Just a little something there. And we'll get rid of that with our alternate side down and on edge leading stroke. And we're going to start behind the tip and overlap and work forward. Let's take a moment and look at the tip. And I want to talk about the tip, is that some knives, depending upon how they're shaped, how the tip is ground, it's getting smaller. That little thing that I'm seeing is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Some tips you may have to, as you're sharpening it, you may have to rotate a little bit, especially a knife that's a very broad knife with a wide bevel, like a 30 degree, 25, 30 degree bevel. It can be a very thick knife, and some of them have extra thick tips. The knives are ground with the tip widened to give it more steel so that the tip can't break off if you use it for prying. So the tip gets wider and the bevel is real wide. And some of them, as you work, you have to turn the stone a little bit on both sides in order so that your scratch patterns wrap that wide, thick steel. I don't know how else to say it other than sometimes in your sharpening job, there is a little finesse you need to have with your stones in order to follow the shape of the knife. I'm walking back. My stone stop got too high and I caught that. Let me show you what happened here. My stone stop, I didn't have it set right, and my stone is above the top of the knife. And as I started to come down, I was coming down on the knife. So that is why we set the stone stops at the beginning, and apparently I didn't do it. Okay. So that damage averted. Let me go back and work that again. I'm coming back again. I'm working forward, working forward, working forward, working forward. The overlap determines the verticalness of the scratch pattern. Okay, let's real quick. I'm wiping up again so as not to cut myself. And that is looking beautiful. Now we can see these crisscross scratches. Here's some crisscross scratches too. I can go back and I got a little, it looks like I went this way this one time and this way another time. So let me, now I'm staying in line and I'm making sure my contact is flat and I'm pulling straight down, sharpening both sides of the knife alternatingly, simultaneously. And I'm looking over here and I'm realizing that I'm forgetting to snap pictures. Now this one you can see in between the light scratches how polished out the rest of it is. Those are the odd scratches that are shown through it. We're getting so polished that I'm getting critical. Backside real quick. Backside looks good. What I try to do is capture, here's the heel. There's a little bit of a burr I can see on that heel. And then spot check it as I work forward. Here's looks like a little low spot. And I'm spot checking forward, snapping the picture. And there's the tip, and I'm going to go to the other side. Why am I doing this? Because I want to record, there we go, how this knife responded, what the edge looked like with 600 grit. This little, right there where the arrow is, that little dip, that's like a pinpoint, not a pinhead, but a pinpoint in size. And then I'll come into the heel. And at the heel I can see there's a bit of a burr. It's the only place I saw a burr, and here's the heel on the right side. So I have taken the time to record it. Now I'm going to fix this. Back to the heel and working forward to blend it in. Back to the heel, working forward to blend it in. Did that a couple times. And let's see. And now that's gone. And that little extra bit makes all the difference in the world. That little bit of a burr. That little bit of a burr that I left there would have ruined that knife edge. This is nice. Okay, so now we're 600 grit, done with that. Real quick, let's look, spot check. Looks good. Looks good, feels good, the tip is nice. And then we're gonna lose the 600s and go on to the 800s. And we've been at this for a while, so I'm gonna stop this video and do another one. Thank you.